faster. I better turn on my microphone there. Sorry about that. Hey, welcome to Career Happy Hour, everybody. I'm still getting used to the Restream platform. I do want to welcome you to Career Happy Hour every Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific time. I will make a commitment to be here, or I'll actually have something produced to share with you. So it's good to have everyone here. We have a packed agenda today, including some one-on-one sessions today to provide some help to people. If you could let me know in the chat what platform you're on and where you're joining from. You get to see the black eye of my studio here. There's no curated green screen effects, just me, the camera, and a microphone, and of course you. So go ahead and leave in the chat where you're joining from, city and state, and also maybe the platform. Sometimes we see that, sometimes we don't. So I will put something in the chat. There we go. Okay, a lot of you probably are joining by LinkedIn. So it looks like everything's working. I'm going to try some of the graphics here. We'll put my name on the screen. Hey, that worked. Awesome. And then we got captions. Yes, you can follow me. That's awesome. I like it. So it's Career Happy Hour. Please use the hashtag. Whenever you're putting your questions in the chat or offering that up, it's easier for me to find those later on when you've actually had that hashtag on it. So I appreciate that. So with that said, I had some things I wanted to cover today. I wanted to let you know, and if you do know somebody who's interested in this kind of service or support, please share it. There's a share button on virtually every platform I'm broadcasting to, which includes LinkedIn, Facebook, in my group, Periscope, and YouTube. Go ahead and share it with someone that you think might find value in it. But the first thing, I like to lean into things that I'm going through to share perspectives with those of you in my network, and I think that's super valuable. So good, Ted. Good to see you from Seattle. Welcome to have you. And that is, there's something that happened this last month that I joined a class, and now there's a lot of online classes available, and so this class was a class that I found that normally was in like the $500 range, and I was able to get it for $99, and I felt that was a heck of a deal. But I didn't realize how good of a deal that was until I actually engaged in the program. And what that means is I think each one of us could learn from the value of coaching and community. This group had, I think, about 130 or 140 participants. We were engaged in Slack. We were on 3 Zoom sessions a week. There was just a lot of value for $99. I felt grateful to be part of that program. And so what did I take away from that? Well, I took away from that not just the fact that I got a good deal, but that I got a lot of value. And so regardless of the price, we could equate that, of course, to salary. So for a salary, the company you're working for should feel like they're getting a good value. So think about it from that perspective. Is that what do I have to offer? And what I have to offer is something valuable. Then that makes the negotiations all that more easy. But what I'm suggesting is I got some good results out of that based on the fact that I had some coaching, somebody who'd been down a path to teach me something I wasn't familiar with before. That's the first thing. The second thing I got was community. I had the opportunity to meet a bunch of new people. Now, you don't have to pay for a $99 course to create those kind of things. You can access coaching. I mean, this is a free session. There's nothing here that's costing anything. And you can get value. And so what did I learn from that? Well, I learned that if I give value and other people get results, that works well for me. So I encourage you to do that. Get into a coaching relationship with somebody. That could be a mentor, a friend, a family member, and get into a community, a small group of people. Like, this is a great community. Isn't the Career Happy Hour a great community? And I think it is. And so when you join coaching, when you join community, you're going to get some value. And so that's the first thing that I learned this week, was joining that course. And what's funny about that is when you start doing things and you start achieving or completing milestones in a course like that, what I found was that translated to my personal life. I started doing a lot more stuff around the house, getting a lot more chores done, doing more work on my business, getting more coaching content created, right? So there was a lot of things that happened because of that one community, not the cost of it, but the community and the coaching and the accountability. The other thing I heard a lot of this week, or at least I got the feeling, was that there's a lot of people that are fearful, and rightfully so. We're in a pandemic. People don't know how to create a new normal. Maybe you've been working from home and you've had a situation where you're getting ready to go back to the office and you're not sure what that means and how that's going to be handled. We talked a little bit about that last week, so you're welcome to go look at that prior week's live. And the idea of responding positively really came to my mind because people are fearful. They're thinking nobody's hiring, right? There's all kinds of things happening. And, I guess the best advice I could give you is hold the news at arm's length. The more news and the more you watch, the more you're interacting with things in the media, I find that makes me more fearful and less likely to do things. And so it's really a choice. You have a choice to either react or respond. Reacting is like being stung by a bee and going, ouch. Responding is, that's a bee. Yes, that hurts, but I can move forward in a positive way. That's what I mean. So responding positively is something that you control, and it is a choice that you have to make. Or that you get to make, let's say it that way, you get to make a choice, whether to respond or to react. And many people react with resistance and inflexibility. And so you have the openness, right? You could come with open hands and respond positively and be a resource. And as people transition back to work, you're a comforting person. So think through these things. And then on a personal note, there was a friend of mine. There was a sudden death in my circle of friends, and it was very sad. I mean, this came unexpectedly and very fast, and it was a hidden health issue. So what I learned from that is to interact more with my network. Is that this is a person that I maybe hadn't talked to in 3 to 5 years, maybe more, and I felt really bad that I wasn't a better connection or a better friend. And what does that mean? Don't let the next time you contact somebody be at their funeral. Be more proactive. If there's people that matter to you or a circle of friends and that sort of thing, I think it's really important that if somebody pops into your mind at a certain time that you don't wait to contact them right then. At least you did your part. There's no obligation that they're going to respond, but I really encourage you, please go ahead and reach out to those people, okay? Make those connections. And just as somebody else is struggling like you, there's, they say that misery loves company, but also misery loves a coordinated support. And so one of the things you can do is if someone else is in your situation, grab a buddy, get a wingman, if you will. So I know that part of this is related to online coaching. There's live coaching. I put out a poll this last week, and I encourage people who are interested to say yes or no to coaching live today. And so we'll have a number of guests up here. And so if that's you and you're interested in coming on to this session live, I would certainly encourage you to either send me a private message on LinkedIn or send me email. Okay. Super easy to do that. In fact, I'll put that on the email me if you want live coaching during the session, during or the Fridays. Okay. There we go. Okay. Add caption. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so if you want live coaching, go ahead and email me or send me a private message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to consider it. I gave each person a link, and that gives them the capacity to come on here. and we'll provide them some coaching support. Now, for those of you who come on, I'm really focused on maybe 3 questions. One, who are you and why are you here? I'd really like to hear your story. Where did you come from? Where are you headed? I'm not interested in your circumstance. I'm just interested in who you are and your value. Who are you and why are you here? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you probably have a question or something that you would like to learn or know or get guidance on from me, and I'm happy to do that. So that's the second thing. Have a question for me that I can help you answer. And then the third thing is an area where you might need help from the community. Okay, so who you are and why you're here, a question I can help you answer, and then things that the community can help you with or something you would like to promote. I'm happy to make that a reality. Okay, so if you're interested in obtaining any of that live coaching on the FAQ Friday, the Career Happy Hour, 3:00 Pacific time every Friday, then please send me a message. Okay. So that's where we go to the live support session. So I think we have a number of people here. Let's invite Nick into the circle. Nick, are you there?
I'm here. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. We have a thunderstorm coming through right now. I'm sitting on a back porch, but so if there's a problem, let me know.
Yeah, not a problem. I think we are getting a little bit of feedback, electrical static of some kind, but that's okay. We'll work with it. Okay. So Nick, who are you and why are you here?
So my name is Nick Generis. I'm here because I parted ways with my last employer in January, and I was working in aerospace and defense for a while as doing strategy on a global level for a company based out of France. And after a management change, we parted ways. But been working quite a bit in technology and engineering in the material science and engineering area. And I don't want to get into another situation where I'm changing jobs again in 2 years and trying to really look at a good long runway ahead of me in my career. So I've been open to relocation, but also wanting to look at the right career opportunity that would make sense to me.
Okay. So what's the question do you have?
Well, so I have worked in industry, but also have worked in academia, like part-time and full-time for a while. And I'm just, I don't want to be working part-time teaching, but I'm looking at maybe a couple of teaching opportunities, but also where I feel like it's going to be more enjoyable. But also with many of the companies out there that are hiring, the ones that are hiring, just wondering how would I present myself in this environment with, especially with the pandemic?
Sure. So it sounds like you have a mashup, right? You said you're in engineering, right?
Yes.
Okay. You said you also like to teach.
I do.
I'm interested in teaching engineering, and I'm exploring options in that space. Right. So part of this is, it's not uncommon, Nick, that people try to see the end before they see the beginning. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes you can come in with just your hands open, no expectations. And if you talk to enough people, you'll get to a point where someone is offering you an opportunity that isn't posted or is maybe posted, but not advertised. So the objective really is to swim upstream from any opportunity when they're developing the requirements. And so I think if you really were to look at all the things you love doing and package that, then it's less important for you to rely on a job posting. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yes, right.
And so the other observation I would have, if it's okay, is that I think we can expect that a 2-year stretch between 2 and 4 years is going to be normal. We see that the tenure with companies was, I think, around 46 months a few years ago, and that number is decreasing. So the odds, right, are not in your favor for long-term longevity. Okay, so that means you need to rely on yourself to always be looking for the next thing. Okay, whether that's internal or external is certainly up to you, but that's what I advise you, is that you are the arbiter of your career. Does that make sense?
Oh, sure, it does. Yes.
Okay. Any follow-up questions or observations on that?
No, I've always in my career strived to make sure that I have the credentials and the experience that I rely upon, as opposed to working at a company and depending on that company for my career. It just seems like the circumstances that we're in today. I'm glad I have done what I've done so far in my career to be able to present myself for the next job. But as I've become a more experienced person, the expectation I also am starting to realize, like you're saying, is the tenure of a job is not going to be as long as it could have been or would have been, so maybe even a couple years ago. And maybe this is just a situation with transitioning to a new job, along with the situation we're in right now, that just makes it a little bit more challenging. But it's good to hear that it's still in my hands to make the next step happen.
Totally. And that sounds like mindset to me, right?
Yeah.
And so opportunities are won or lost based on 6 inches, right? The 6 inches between your ears. And so what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing: is that if you think it's bad now with a pandemic, the presumption is that nobody's getting hired, that there are no opportunities, that it's really hard. I'm working with candidates and people right now that are getting interviews and offers. Okay, so there is an active marketplace. The question is, do you want to be part of it? And where is it? And how do I find it? And which companies are in play and which ones aren't? And the activities you participate in will determine that answer. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what can the community help you with, or what do you want to promote today? Anything at all?
Are you asking me the question?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm just, I think, I know that being active in professional societies, in my case, helps to be able to network, and I've been doing a lot of networking, and just wondering any other, I've been attending many Zoom meetings, very little in-person type meetings lately, obviously, and I think the rest of us are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure to talk to at least 5 or 6 people I know every week, following up with different people. And just wondering along those lines, what do I continue doing? Or are there any other suggestions that make sense that I haven't thought about yet in terms of reaching out to people I know, or second degree connections in that case, and so on?
Oh, well, of course. Yeah. Yes, yes, and yes. So the answer to all those questions is yes. What I would suggest is having a specific target, and that doesn't have to be static forever. I would suggest having maybe this week a static target, like, I'm really looking for engineering management roles at Amazon. Okay, if that's your avatar, your target this week, that's fine. Next week, it might be, hey, I'm looking for teaching roles at community colleges in Detroit, right? But I have a target, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And the reason that's important isn't so much for you, it's for your audience. That means that I can go through my mental Rolodex and I can say, okay, who can I connect Nick with that's going to make sense? Is that fair?
Plus, it is fair. It also makes me.
What's the answer to that question for you?
No, I think it makes sense that on a weekly basis, to not feel I'm scattershotting, that I'm focusing on different targets every week. So my messaging is consistent that week with the audience I'm speaking with. And, the follow-up is also easier because a week later, after focusing on a different target, I can go back and focus on a previous week's targets and follow up and just maintain a certain rhythm.
Cadence, rhythm, yes. So what is the answer to that question for you, right? What is the title and company you're focused on this week?
So this week.
Next week, right? It's already Friday.
Oh, next week. So I think next week, focusing on some other corporate positions I've seen on job postings, and in addition to trying to apply online, contact people through first and second degree connections. There's a CTO position I saw that might be interesting to.
Okay. And where is that at?
It's with Eaton.
Eaton, yeah. Like EATON?
Yes.
Okay.
So
for anybody that's listening or watching this after the fact, and it's end of May 2020, Nick is looking to make strategic connections at Eaton.
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. So please,
Exactly.
Nick, I would encourage you to put your information in the chat wherever
Okay.
you're joining from. I think certainly that's by LinkedIn. So come back to this video and put your LinkedIn information in the chat. Is that fair?
That's fair. I'll do that.
Awesome.
That's a great idea.
Right. We're looking to get you a specific outcome, right? And that is back to work. Yeah. All right, sir. Well, hey, thanks for joining.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck to you in your search.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Take care. Well, so that was Nick. And I think next up here we've got, and if you're interested in joining, I'm happy to send you a private message on LinkedIn. Just let me know in the chat. Please send me a contact request. I also taught materials. Oh, good. So already in the chat, people are connecting with Nick, trying to help him. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. It really helped me land a job. Good. Varun, I appreciate that. Excellent. So Nick, I think he's put his stuff in the chat. Awesome. So next up, we got Joel. Let's see if we can get Joel here on the line. Hang tight with me, folks. Joel, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, good. Hey, good to see you. So tell me, Joel, who are you? Why are you here?
Sure. So I go by Joel, even though it's spelled Joel. It's actually Joel.
Joel, got it.
And
my bad.
And all good. And quick background about me: I graduated from SI College with a mechanical engineering degree, and right after I graduated, I worked with Johnson Controls for a while, almost 3 years, and it was before pandemic when the company had a little bit of financial issues, and my position was eliminated because of that. And I think I came to know about you through Lihat Terrace in one of the webinars about LinkedIn. So that was very helpful. Connecting people, learning about all of this. It's very different. There's so much in it. There's so much about the entire job hunting process. The traditional, what I've been told was just apply and wait for it. It's not how it works. And networking, has helped me in terms of getting insights about positions which I have no idea about. That's very helpful, and that's why I've been here. Trying to position myself in a place which is more geared towards my passion. I think we already talked about a little bit of that my passion towards aerospace and thermal engineering. So I'm trying to connect both of them together. A position which would be in aerospace related to thermal engineering, because I have HVAC background, which is a lot of thermal applications. So that's what I'm trying to leverage at this point.
Okay. And so what do you bring to that marketplace that nobody else can?
I would say a lot of HVAC stuff is also applicable to commercial aircrafts. There's HVAC systems there also. So a lot of rating, heat exchanger ratings, sizing, that's something which I've been doing a lot, heat transfer applications. So I have a pretty solid background in that. So that's what I would say, that's a strength. Now I'm just trying to see, in aerospace, everything is very detail oriented. So I'm trying to connect with people, how they do their testings. Their testings would be a lot more robust in terms of numbers and accuracy. So that's what I'm trying to learn, connect with people.
Gotcha. So what question do you have for me that I can help you answer?
So in terms of aerospace, so going a little more background about me. So I'm working on work visa, and a lot of aerospace positions do require that I'm actually a green card or a U.S. citizen. So I'm trying to connect with people who have been into aerospace positions with work visa. I feel there are positions there, but it's very few. But that's what I'm hunting down, positions which are does not require U.S. citizenship or green card. Yeah.
Okay, so that means you're going to have to increase your connection rate. Why? Because it's a condition of employment. That's just a
Correct.
fact.
Yeah.
And so the first thing you have to wrap your head around is how much runway do I have and how many people do I need to contact? I helped a gentleman, gosh, what was it? About 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, maybe 7 years ago. He had just reached out to me out of the blue and asked for some advice. I gave him some advice and he found a job inside of 35 days. How did he do that? Well, I said, you know what? Your H-1B is going to expire in 45. You got to get on it, man, because this isn't something you can let lie. And so he actually tripled and quadrupled down on the networking and reached out to every family member he had, stateside or not. He reached out to all the friends that they introduced him to. I mean, he was an animal, you know, and he ended up calling somebody the day that a position opened, and they recommended him for that role, this connection, and he ended up interviewing, getting that job. Now, he did have to relocate. So part of this is you're narrowing your marketplace by focusing on aerospace. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just telling you the facts that if a visa is required, and that's a condition of employment, and you're only looking in aerospace, then you've just shrunk your market. Okay. All that means is you need to increase your activity to meet that demand. What does that mean? So if you normally are talking to 2 people a week, you should probably be talking to 10 people a day. Because your conversion rate is going to be much lower.
Right.
So
and also
wrap your head around that. Now you can't do those kind of searches on LinkedIn where you could find people maybe that went to the same university you did, or maybe from the same country of origin you are, right? That list maybe some of the language. You probably speak more than one language, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can narrow it down by language. A lot of times you can filter that way. That helpful?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to make sure that it's relevant to you, and that, you know, I'm trying to prepare you honestly with realism. I'm sure you're aware of that. So I don't know what, you know, I don't want to talk the details of your current situation and your timelines, but that's something I would take into consideration for sure.
Right. Yeah. And another question which this is a little different, and when exchanging or disclosing salaries, the common rule that I found is, like, if it's a recruiter, like a headhunter, it's okay to disclose your past salary and what you want, your actual desired salary. And if it's actually someone from HR of the company that I already applied, you kind of want to say, if it's something about the position that you really love, you want to position and your answer in a way that what I'm actually interested is the so-and-so skill sets about this job, not really the salary. Is that quite accurate to go about it?
Well, it sounds like you've been practicing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Good. So if you've been practicing, that's fine. Hang on. It's so funny because this just came up not 2 days ago, and I wrote a little script about it, which is interesting. Let me get to a spot here. Hang on. I'll pull it up and I'll read what I wrote, if that's okay. Sure. So the earlier you are in a process with a company, the more I'm apt to defer, right? I don't want to answer that question ever. I want to get them to divulge their range, because my needs and what that role requires are 2 different things. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And so the market says what the market says. I don't determine the market. It's based on what people in the past have been able to get for that kind of role and has been reported to a third-party reporting agency. So I would always go into any conversation with a recruiter, hiring manager, anybody, already knowing that the range that the market says. Okay. That's the first thing. So if I get, if I get a recruiter that asks me, hey, what is your, so that some states, by the way, have a law against asking what you made at your last role. Okay. And so you need to check with your state. I know in Oregon, that's the case. They cannot, they could, I suppose, but it would be illegal for them to do so. They can't say what you made at your last company. So a lot of the recruitment firms have adjusted their questioning to say, what are your salary requirements? Okay. And so the best response I got, and this isn't mine, I got it from a candidate, is that it depends, right? It depends on the role, the responsibilities, the duties, the level of education required. It depends on a lot of things, right? And so the first thing I would say is that depends. I can agree, right, that compensation is important to both of us, right? And then you get their affirmation. Yes, of course. Can you please fill me in on more of the details of the day-to-day characteristics and what does the ideal candidate look like? So what have I done? I put it back on them, didn't I?
Right.
Okay. So I acknowledge that it depends. I acknowledge that it's important to both of us. Okay. And I want to learn more about the role first. Now, if they've already given you that, they're probably going to come back, right, a second time and say, well, we've already talked about that, so that wouldn't be appropriate. So in that case, you might say, I recognize this is important to both of us. I'm reasonable. I'm negotiable to come together with you on a compensation package that's ideal for both of us. Okay? Fitting your budget is primary concern for you, I'm sure. What is the range for this position? Now, you might use different words, but this is just something I jotted down in 5 minutes the other day. So you might use your own words, but you see what I did there? I said, hey, this is important. Yes, it's early in the process, maybe. It depends. I appreciate that. Can you tell me more about the role? Right. I'm throwing questions back at them after I've acknowledged that it's important. Okay, so that's, I think, what they need to feel from you, is that it's important to them. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, if you're farther on in the process and you're meeting with the hiring manager and you're 4, 5, 6, interviews in the process, guess what? That question's coming from a different perspective, isn't it? They want to know what to put on the offer page. Okay, so if I'm down the lane that far, that's what they're looking for. Okay. Now, if you have a range and they're still not willing to disclose theirs, then you say, hey, based on my research on salary.com, Glassdoor, PayScale, LinkedIn, anywhere I can find it, internal person that already knows the pay ranges. Okay. I can do all that research in advance. Now, I heard one last week that Terry Smith, I'll give him credit on that, Mercer.com. I was not familiar with that. So that may be another one you look at. But just say, hey, based on my research, the range for this type of role is between X and Y. How well does that align with your budget? And then wait for an answer, right? Sometimes silence is your friend. So that's something I wrote down the other day. Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Good news?
Absolutely.
It's recorded. You can come back and listen to this later. So good.
Awesome.
What do you need from the community to help you?
Again, it's a quick little bit going back. So, as you mentioned about H-1B, there's like a time limit thing. So for me, that's not anymore applicable because I already went home. So I'm back here. Actually, I came back to US for my cousin's wedding, back actually January sometime. But then I just got stuck because of the pandemic. Borders were closed. That's what happened. So I still want to pursue aerospace. So continuing with that, or thermal engineering. There are data centers which use thermal engineering. HVAC, same theories too. That's another industry that I also have been applying and pursuing. But those are the two which I really want to focus because I really think I could excel and provide most value and would be most fulfilling.
Right. So then you would ask what of the audience? Somebody in a specific domain at a specific company.
So specifically any international folks who have got their foot when they were actually, in a work visa in those industries. Just connecting with them.
Well, that's general, right?
Right.
I want to meet somebody from India that works at Boeing and got in from a visa. right? You see what I mean? So I'm
Gotcha.
going a
Yeah.
specific person, specific
Uh-huh.
profile. Could be somebody in HVAC at XYZ company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so either the domain or the company are going to spark something in the audience mind, because not everybody coming here, Joel, is an engineer in HVAC, right? They're not going to
Right.
speak
Yeah.
that language, but they do know people at what? Boeing, Lockheed, all these aerospace companies you might be interested, SpaceX. You go down the list, Blue Origin,
Yeah.
right?
So
You probably
if,
have a
right.
list of
Yeah.
companies that you have in your mind that you'd love to work for. Be specific
Yeah.
about that.
So the specific companies I've been really looking at is so there's Ryathon, which also has Pratt and Whitney and Collins Aerospace as their subsidiary, and GE Aviation. And I would say my top picks that I've been trying to
So
hunt
pick
people
one.
down. And
Pick one.
pick one.
Just one. The one you'd most like to work for start as of today. That can always change, right?
Yeah, Pratt and Whitney. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking for people connected at Pratt and Whitney to have an introductory conversation about them, their career path, right? Their strengths, their challenges, how they're dealing with the virus. Who are all those questions about?
So my questions
would be about them, not about your need for employment, not about your HVAC expertise, because that's secondary to building a relationship of trust.
Gotcha.
Right? Because if I come at somebody from a position of demand, I need employment. Can you help me? What is the answer? Go talk to HR. Did you look at our website? What positions are open that you're interested in? That's a tactical conversation.
Right.
It's not helpful.
And do you want to comment on like the start, like what I've been trying, like what dialogue that I've been using?
Your dialogue or your circumstance is not relevant to the conversation, right? Because we don't want to impose on somebody else our circumstance. I'm unemployed.
Right. Yeah.
I got laid off. I need a job. Those are all circumstances, right? Not relevant.
Sorry, I don't know if there was a miscommunication.
Okay.
What I meant was, do you want to comment like, so I'll give you the example that I've been trying, and you can comment on it.
Sure.
That's what I meant.
Go ahead.
So the place that I've been coming, when I've been connecting so far is a place of appreciation for their. I will look at their LinkedIn profile and, their passion, and from a place of passion and curiosity, that's the place usually I connect with, that we share similar passion, and trying to know what got their career paths to that, aerothermal engineering very specifically. That's what I've narrowed to, and so
okay.
From
so let's
there,
say you get to a finance
I kind of
person.
move on to.
What if somebody introduces you to a finance person? What do? Do you talk about thermal engineering?
In general?
Yeah.
No,
what about a I don't know, director of HR? Do you talk about thermal engineering?
No.
Okay. So it's much like the last person. I think it was Nick. Not everybody you're going to connect with is going to be in engineering. I know you're focused in that space and you're probably outreaching there, but not always will those people open the door and say yes. So we need to knock on all the doors until somebody opens and says yes. And that might be people in different capacities that have what we call, or what my dad used to call, juice, right? They have power, they have a pulse, they have a budget, they know people, they're respected in the company, but they're not in engineering. Okay. So I wouldn't ignore those people. I would actually lean into your friends, your family first, people first, always, and ask them. And it's a great place to practice. Okay. So you get some repetitions that way, and you're quarantined anyway, right? So you might as well reach out to them again and practice. Hey, I know we've just been kind of catching up and whatnot. Do you mind if I practice on you? and work your way through that process. Now, I don't know if you listen to my podcast, do you, Joel? Please tell me you do.
No,
No,
sorry.
Okay, so if you go to my podcast website, jobseekersradio.com, what you'll see there is a free resource called the Networking Checklist, or no, the Anatomy of a Networking Conversation. So if you go there, you'll see the anatomy of a networking conversation as we've kind of laid it out in the podcast. And a lot of people have found that helpful. So will you make a commitment to download that and use it?
Sure. So it's the link is right on your LinkedIn page?
Yeah, well, it should be even on this live stream. I think it should be. Does anybody see it on the live stream? It should be in the description. But I'll put it in the chat anyway. Oh, I have to go over to LinkedIn. Yeah, the problem with Restream is it does not sync up with LinkedIn. My apologies, people. Bear with me. So I'll put it in both places. It's actually on my profile too. If you go to my contact info on the profile page, it'll be there as well. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I put it in.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Joel. I wish you the best of luck in your search. You find everything that you're looking for, my friend. Okay.
Awesome.
Good.
Thanks
and
for
maybe
having
you
me.
can have some fun down in the chat and find somebody to connect with. Okay.
Sure. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. All right. Good. Those were some good conversations, I believe. Yeah. So if you have an interest in coming on live during any of these sessions, please let me know in the chat or send me a private message on LinkedIn. You could also send me email. That's fine too. Outside of that, I would really encourage you to share this with somebody you know and make sure that you tag somebody or use the hashtag a career happy hour. So it looks like it's not jobseekersradio.com. I'm just putting this in the chat for folks. There we go. Okay, so it's gone. Let's see if we got any folks interested in coming on. Okay, well, I think we're done here. Thanks for joining us today, folks. Please share this broadcast with everybody you know. We're here every Friday, 3 p.m. I think what I've learned is the more things change, the more they stay the same. Is that if we know something is not effective for us, we should try something different. And so I thought that the interesting thing was that people recognize that online applications don't work as well as networking, and yet their activities don't reflect that. So not that, so I should put a caveat there, not that online applications don't work, they just haven't been proven to work better than personal connection. So don't ignore doing the applications. Don't prioritize applications over opportunities to work with and meet new people. And I encourage you to reach out to somebody today, make a meaningful connection and a contribution to somebody else, and you'll be the better for it. All right, folks, we'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend.